Okay, Jesse, how you doing? I've got your work up right here, and let's get started. So I think, excuse me, I think that the cover looks good, and presumably it would be like this. Okay, so here's the cover. Then you open up the cover. The other side of the cover would be blank, and then you would have the contents page. And then you turn that page and you get to this spread, and then your spreads go from there. So, okay. So the cover itself, let's take a look. I think ghosting out this kind of square. I don't know. And the more I think about it, boy, did you try it without that? Typically I thought boy, I don't know. It's your call. I think that there's enough contrast in this image that the type will easily be able to stand without that muted box there. So think about that. Anyways, so contents page looks good. Then we move to our presentation. And so I'm thinking that you're using a lot of images. Not real sure about why they're cut like this, though. They're oval images like that. I'm not real sure. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So it's kind of inconsistent, kind of a random presentation, so to speak. So I would have rethought that. If there's a reason to do that and it's part of your concept, by all means. But as a random decision, I think, by now I hope we realize that, random decisions just don't work in graphic design. Excuse me. Another thing that I think is kind of causing a little bit of an inconsistency is, okay, so you have your page here, and this page, you start your layout, this page here, okay, left page is right aligned, right page is left aligned, okay? And that's fine if you're forcing your type towards the center margin. However, if I grab a guide here, we can see that these are clearly out of alignment. Did you see what I'm saying? Why Adobe does that. But anyway, so these are clearly out of alignment. See what I'm saying? And then over here, you have this is seemingly your subheads or your headlines, okay? But this is bigger. So this indicates a new head, a new section, which would mean that this would all have to be part of another section. What section would that be? Hope that makes sense. So Lapland, Why Finland, and Culture of Finland are all in one typeface, indicating that they're part of the same group. This is in a bigger typeface, indicating that this is introducing a new group, okay? The issue is that the differences aren't big enough. I mean, it almost looks like that's a mistake. I mean, if you're going to draw attention by scale, do so that it's really, really obvious. Okay. I'm just looking at, actually, I'm looking at this image here, and I'm looking at the type on this image, and I'm just seeing, it looks so much better than cutting off these ovals out of your images. Okay, so then you go, so after we stop here, now the branding elements almost goes into completely different layout. So that's, again, pointing to a little bit of an inconsistency. And this layout, I think, is really interesting. It's actually a much better layout. Page mechanics here is excellent. But again, let me show you some issues here. So, okay. Boy, I sure wish Adobe, I don't know why I can't draw guides on both sides. That is so weird. So anyways, all right, so this looks to be out of alignment. This is clearly out of alignment. I would have aligned these two logos so that the top of them align, and you'd be just super surprised at what that's going to do for your page. Even though they're different sizes and shapes, and then I think one thing that you would have to do when you move that down to get it into alignment is take your colors and maybe move them over here. See what I'm saying? Okay. And then this page. Okay, now watch what happens. So you see where this page, see how the alignment is set up right there. My cursor's right on your type. I turn the page and boom, it jumps down by about half an inch or an inch or so. Okay, so that's a problem. I'll come down to the next page. Wait. Okay, so here's the type. Looks how it jumps. Next page. It jumped again and again. So the type is moving around the page as you See what I'm saying? See it jumping around the page? You don't want that. Let's try this side, see what happens here. Yep, same thing here. Watch. There's the type. Jumps down there. Jumps down again. Well, and then finally it sits anchored. But okay. So then there's that layout. Then you jump back to this layout. Okay, so you're kind of using two different layouts here. So that's really, I think, is causing a really kind of a disconnect in the presentation itself. Okay, so yeah, and then as far as the work goes, I think the work is fabulous. I think you've worked really hard, and it definitely shows. I think the logo is, I'm still a little funny with the colors. I would still keep working in those color swatch patterns in Illustrator and just keep on working. And now, presumably, you're still going to be working on this piece for your final portfolio. So a lot of these comments I'm making would be applicable towards that. Okay, and then the final thing I have to say is this, is that, okay, I'm going to take a look here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 credits. Okay, I see you say all images were provided by Google Image Search. That is not a credit. Okay, as a matter of fact, that's a critical error. You can't put this in your final portfolio with a credit like that. It's just going to shoot the credibility all to heck. So, just notice something else I want to talk about, the way that's presented, page 27. I'll write that down in my notes. Hang on one sec. So, the image credits, you have to credit each one of these images individually. It's imperative. If you don't credit images in your final student portfolio, the interview will probably not end on a good note. And it really is that important, okay? So unfortunately, I would expect a small deduction there. Now, the one thing I want to talk about is this. Okay, there's your logo, right? All right, that's a presentation of your logo. Get these away from that logo. Okay, because once you set your logo, and this is a brand standard guide, so basically you should be delineating a space, a clear space for your logo. Typically, most logo brand books say, okay, here's my logo. You can't put anything around here, this area right here. That's as close as you can get to the logo. But right here, you've got type creeping right up on your logo. Right here, you have colors creeping right up on your logo. So I think that's an issue right there. The next thing is this is your logo, right? It says your final symbol 3, geometric inspiration logo. All right. But then you show back here and you're showing all your logo work. Everything looks great. Then we get to the last page and you've screened it back. It's not full opacity. So that is breaking your own brand. Okay. The other thing I want to mention about branding is this, is that here's your logo. You've presented this logo, but you haven't presented a horizontal version of your logo. So again, we're breaking some branding because here is a horizontal. There's a horizontal. Wait a second. That's not it. Right there. There's a horizontal version of your logo. There's another one right here. Okay. So you have to show that. You can't just okay, I'm going to put my logo like this. Do you know what I'm saying? In branding, everything has got to have a rule. Okay. So if you're going to show your logo horizontally, you absolutely have to have that in your presentation as part of that accepted presentation of the logo. Okay, so I did mention image credits, and that's really, I think that's the only. I mean, I'm really forced to draw a deduction there. That's just common, but really, please remember the importance of your image credits. So last thing, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but don't ever present colors without the RGB and CMYK color values. It's really super important. Otherwise, the colors don't mean anything. I mean, a brand book is to say, okay, if you need to create something based on this work, these are the colors you have to use. But you're not giving any equivalence. So, do you see what I'm saying? Oh, wow, out of breath. Okay, so, wow, I just said a lot in a little bit of time. So anyways, that's what we have, and I think you've done a fabulous job. If you have any questions, comments, concern, or other, please feel free to let me know. And also, I just want to mention that, feel free to keep my contact information if you need me for any future assistance here at RimCAD. Feel free to ring me up. All right? Thanks.